We're recording again. Good. So what we're looking for, the blue and black spots to start moving, and we have different thermometers that we're going to be working with as well. That way we can actually debunk things. I'm not here to make stuff up for you guys. I'm actually after real evidence. So that's actually going to go to you because you seem enthralled with this.
All right.
You're going to hold it horizontal all night long. Do you see the red square on your screen?
Yep.
That means that it's recording.
Okay.
Okay, so if it turns to a circle, you have to let me know so I know to splice your videos together and just tap it again. So most people do really well with it, but if not, they're the jerk of the night, and it takes me longer to splice videos.
I'll do my best.
Alright. So Braden, you're not very talkative, but I'm going to need you to be. This is a spirit box. So spirit boxes allow us to communicate with the dead. If I'm speaking in too layman of terms, because you guys all seem pretty hip to ghost hunting, at least the TV shows, this one's set up a little bit different. You guys all watch the shows, yes?
Oh, for sure.
All right, so most of that shit's fake. Y'all know that, right? Okay. This one in particular is slowed down, so that real staticky noise that they have on TV, I have this slowed down so that the radio chatter actually comes through. I want you to tell me what the radio chatter is if you can make it out. I want you to think of this as Bumblebee from Transformers. How he speaks through the radio, it's the same principle. Okay, so I'm going to set this one up to record. I'll show you where the volume is. And what the cool thing is it's going to record the entire sweep for us and no outside noises. So it's not going to record the questions we ask. That's why I record the audio and the video, so that way I know where to start it off at with questions that were being asked. So there's one little volume button. It's a turn wheel. It's not the actual button at the top. That's the power. So if you accidentally hit it, let me know and I'll reset it back up for you. You're going to be multitasking. Again, this is going to be set up for 10 people, so some of you might be double-fisted. So EMF meters, you guys all seen these on the shows before. They never explain how they actually work. The first, it's going to measure 3 different types of fields. First one's natural from the earth. The second one is from our cell phones and man-made devices and wiring and all that kind of stuff. So we don't want that either. How do we determine what that is? It's going to give us a pulse, a rhythm. So we don't want that rhythm. We want it to go a little bit crazy. So, Dad, you're in charge of that one. It doesn't make any noise. You don't have to hit any buttons. You just have to watch the lights and wait for it to look like a Christmas tree. That's pretty much it. You are going to help us debunk what's going on with this camera.
Okay.
So we all know what this guy is, right? Surface temperature. We've all had our temperature taken from COVID, work, whatever. So this one's only going to measure where the red dot lands. I don't know what the temperature is between the gun and the red dot. That's where this guy comes in. So, Chris, was it?
Chris.
I'm horrible at names. The writer can't remember characters. So Chris is standing where I am, and he says, Nick, there's a blue spot on the wall. I can't figure out what it is. I'm going to measure the wall all the way across. If it's the same temperature, I now know that that blue spot is between Chris and the wall. So I'm going to use the probe at the end here and literally move this thing slowly until I find it. The bottom number is the one you're looking at. That's the temperature. The top is humidity, so don't worry about that.
Okay.
You have both of those. The yellow one's not super active. You can almost pocket it, but you are going to help him determine, and we're going to work more on that first location. It's more of a practice area. It's haunted, but it doesn't have a deep history, so we can actually play around and you guys can see what your devices are capable of.
All right.
So I use different styles of lasers. We're going to stick with this one tonight because the ground is wet and the other one will glimmer back a little bit. But this one gives us a red grid. So what's cool about this is when we actually capture something in here, and I'm quick enough with my phone to actually get a picture of it, I can then put it in 3D software and have a full view of what we caught inside there. I haven't caught anything with this one yet, but again, I have another really bright green one, and it's only dots, and I have caught things in that. But again, the ground is really wet, it'll shimmer back. Lasers can put Nick in handcuffs. So you get both of those. Be a safe place for lasers, and I'll kind of give us all direction on all of those things. So with each location, there'll be kind of a story to kind of give you a heads up on what you're looking for, what you're watching for, and I'm going to be bouncing around, and I'm going to use a few devices myself. So the first one, I actually have a backup EMF in case your battery drains, which has happened. So if I need one in a pinch, not that I don't have extra batteries, but the second one I'm going to use is a spirit box that gives us a word every so often on the screen and then saves it to a list. My last tour had 81 terms. We're gonna clear them out and start you guys off fresh. And we get the word chief. Let's see if that one's saved. It did not. So it'll be anything after the word chief. 80% of this is BS. It doesn't mean anything. It's the 5 to 20% that I'll find in the morning that's relevant to our tour, one of you, me, or the location of where we're at, directly relating to them. I will also give you a link to show you where I got that evidence from. So I'm going to give you the full list, because at times you guys are going to text me or email me back and say, Nick, my cat's name is Radar, and it said Cat Radar on there. Does that make sense? So, and that's happened. That's a literal instance. I know it sounds stupid, but it happens.
Wow.
But I'm not hiding anything, so I'm not going to add words to it. I'm not going to take anything from it. The second one I'm going to use is a reverse spirit box. This one's cool, but it's also debunked. It is literally, they said it was an FM radio station, kind of like your spirit box, but it was said it was being played backwards. Well, it doesn't do that. It's literally a man and a woman saying random words on a loop. I don't know how long the loop is. I tested it for over an hour, and they play it backwards. It's going to sound like complete gibberish to us, but when something comes through in real time, we can make it out. Like and I'll play an EVP for you that I caught from there. So this is what it sounds like in real time. So it's complete gibberish.
Sounds like cool.
Right? So you got the gist of that. Let you guys take a listen. So, I'm going to shut this one off for a moment, only because I was pretty brief with my intro and the tools, because we're not using everything, and I'll play the EVP I caught from there a few weeks back. Super cool. So what will happen on your audio is when I hear something come out of there, I will repeat it and then say rewind by 5 seconds. That's kind of your marker. So I'm not going to go through your audio, because you're going to have audio markers. I'm going to play it several times because of the traffic. You guys catch that?
Baked beans breakfast?
Yep. Baked beans breakfast. You guys catch it?
Yep.
Yeah.
So here's what happened. Braden, your spirit box told me I'll fix you. And then I got baked beans breakfast, and then that digital word list had the word tea in it. That was all within 2.5 minutes of each other. So I had I'll fix you, baked beans breakfast, and tea. That's literally a breakfast over in the UK. I didn't know that when I did all of this. One of my guests told me, like, yeah, that makes sense. I'm like, how does that make sense? Because I was like all excited. I got the whole group together. But again, that's how I have to look at it as a collective in the morning, is what messed up. Where are our hotspots based on the EMF readings? I don't get excited when one thing's going off. I need the collective in the morning to show that there was more activity. Questions, comments, concerns? Are we hip to everything that we have so far? We start here for a reason. This place is haunted. The place you're leaning on is called, it used to be called Big John's Tavern back in the 1970s. He was a football player. John Kennedy, he played for the 1947 New York Giants. I'm not a football guy, so yes, this part is scripted because I don't follow sports. So, Big John used to sit in the back of the bar, and he would nod off to the bartender if the cadets that came over from the Citadel were of age or not. One night, 2 guys came in. John knew that they weren't of age, so he told the bartender to cut them off. They get pissed, they leave. They come back the next night, and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the building. John obviously sees this. They get into a little tangle. They start wrestling around. Shots were fired. John gets shot in the neck. The bullet hole ricocheted and landed in the wall of the bar in front. Nobody's dead. The paranormal activity in here is from that bullet hole. They say people that sit in front of the bar can have a tendency to get sick. Either they get a headache, a little queasy, just not feeling well. Nothing drastic, but if anything like that happens to one of y'all, I need to know. It's a big deal. Like, this is the real deal. I'm not putting on a show here. This is a paranormal activity can have an effect on people. I'm not gonna lie. I got stones and things that were blessed all over me because I have taken stuff home with me. I don't say that to scare you guys. It's literally a health hazard. The first time somebody dropped like a wet noodle, I was in CPR class the next day, so it never happened again. Unfortunately, it has. Luckily, I always have a nurse on. Any nurses? No. Just in case.
Nobody knows CPR.
Okay, so do I. So I don't want to use it, but if I have to, I will. The other piece, guys, let's turn into something a little happier. Let's talk about somebody else's death and ailments other than ours. So the mantle above your heads actually wraps around the front of the building as well. We had a big earthquake here in 1886. It's a big one for us because we don't have earthquakes. That's why it's notable for us. A piece of that mantle off the front of the building fell off, struck somebody in the head. Apparently that was the first death from the earthquake. His ghost was said to be seen right here on East Bay Street, but I have to take the word from the previous bar owner when it was Cane Run Bar. I proof myself, but I do get things from Big John's teammates in the next location since we're relatively close. So, you guys tired of hearing me talk yet? Because we got about another hour and a half of this. All right, let's go something. Let's go this way.
Okay.
Now that it's actually dark. So, this is the place where I told you we're going to kind of practice with our tools and gadgets a little
Yeah,
bit.
this thing's going nuts.
Good. So, again, the reason why we don't go in buildings either is because I've been accused of even rigging your devices out in the middle of nowhere. I can't imagine what people accuse me of if I took them inside of a building. So, because I can't rig this stuff, it happens. But we're going to talk about your EMF in a second. So, this place, oh, that's interesting. So I got the word apple. This is where we keep the horses for your carriage rides.
They eat up.
They eat apples. So it makes complete sense. And I don't think I've ever seen that term come up, which is interesting. This thing has a vocabulary of 9,000 words. So I see a lot of the same things over and over again because it's meant to be a game or a hoax. But I'm going to take apple as we got some things going on already. This is also the same red barn where they kept the horses that delivered milk to Charleston. So that's something that could come up on your spirit box. Delivery, milk, draft horses, those kind of things. So it's not going to be full-length sentences like, hey, how you doing? My name's Bob. It's going to be very simple one-word terms that we have to kind of put together. So on his spirit box, and I want you to keep in mind, whenever me or Braden are asking questions, the answers can go anywhere. We have 4 spirit boxes running. His, well actually I'll take that back, 3. His and my 2 in my phone, because I'm going to run them at the same time. But we have 2 pieces of audio as well. So I have my audio and your audio, because it will record your guys' conversation, just so you guys know. But again, he asks a question, the answer can go anywhere. He might not hear anything, but I could get it here later, if that makes sense. So, questions on the spirit box. This is not Zach Bagans and his treasury of ghost hunting. This is real, true life stuff. So how do we do this? We stay away from yes or no questions. So you have to think, how can I rephrase this question so it's not yes or no? We also want to ask the same question once every 30 seconds of something we know. Like, I'm bringing you to a very simple place. What color is the barn is a great question. Now you know you're listening for the color red. The next location, I'm not going to give him so easy questions. He's going to have to figure it out based on the things that he gets from the spirit box. So if you don't get an answer after 30 seconds, you ask again. Tell me what color that barn is. If you don't get an answer after 3 or 4 tries, okay, if we have EMF activity on Dad's tool over there, then we definitely got something going on. Oh, he's got crazy red going on.
Wow.
That's crazy. So that thing doesn't always go off in here either. Sometimes it waits until I'm at the very end, and it says, wait, I got something to say, and we all kind of wait for the recordings to come through. So, but the fact that he's got something early is pretty awesome. So, but your spirit box, even if you don't hear anything, it's okay. That's why it's recording. I'm going to listen to it again in the morning, especially since Dad's tool's going off. I'm sorry, that is the dynamic here. You did say sun, right, Jason?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So, let's just watch. This is a parking lot. So, wheelchair. That's interesting. So, what you two are going to be doing, absolutely no lasers, by the way, can go on the barn. We will speak to horses. It's not a pretty thing. I am somewhat friends with those folks. But you have a ton of different materials in here. You have, metal, asphalt, wood, brick, foliage. You got a million things in here. I want you to learn how thermodynamics work. And you're really going to just take your laser and kind of verify. I'm going to work with you guys first because they seem like they got a handle and they got a lot to work with already. But I'm going to work with you guys to show you a few tricks with that camera. You're going to do nice, slow movements with it. Nice and slow. It's not the cell phone technology of cameras. It's thermodynamics. So we're really just after that heat signature. And I'll give you more of an explanation. But with the two of you, you've already got red spots going on here. If you guys wanted to start your spirit box session here, you can. And then, Dad, if you want to spray that red, just keep it down and within 5 feet in front of you. So that way, I'm talking the laser, the grid.
Oh, gotcha.
So, that's up to you whenever you want to use it. I know that EMF is probably going to give you enough activity throughout the night. Looks like it's going to be a good night. We're getting closer and closer to that full moon. But yeah, you guys can kind of work together on that spirit box and go to where the hot spots are in the EMF And then I'm going to take the two of you and show you a few more tricks as we kind of mosey around here a little bit. And then I'll jump back with you guys to see what you guys heard. How's that sound? You guys hit? All right,
Cool.
Cool.
let's take a walk.
Yeah.
All 3 of us. So with this, I usually try to keep a person in screen at all times. Reason for that
Because you're
is
getting that
right.
temperature.
So go ahead and put your screen on the wall. Tell me what you got. Turns one color. So also keep in mind your camera's down at the bottom left-hand corner. Okay, so it's going to turn all one color. But watch what happens when I go into view. You see how it kind of fluctuates, and then you get an array of color. It's a lot easier to see those movements. So keep that there for a second. Shoot your red dot on that wall for me and tell me what
I
temperature
just
you
hit
get.
it?
Yep, just pull the trigger. Now read your screen.
75.2.
And what do you have on yours?
77.3.
So
in
you're going
red.
to be off by 2 probably to 4 degrees. I've seen it as difference of 6. I do that on purpose. Your temperature right now is higher, correct? So if you go below what she has, you obviously have something going on. I get excited about 10 degrees. You guys are going to make me talk a lot tonight. I can feel it.
And I'm just taking it all in.
Yeah.
I know. I talk fast too. I'm
It's
from the
all
north.
good.
So,
Us too.
yeah.
Us too.
What part?
I'm New York. He's Virginia.
Ohio.
Okay.
So I'm kind of caught in between the two of you.
Yeah.
So again, you can also catch thermodynamics in reverse. So what do I mean by that? We're looking for cold spots to grow, right? Or possibly move. What happens when we see something grow in heat? Thermodynamics law number 2 states you can't destroy or create temperature. It has to balance. So if it's chilly here, it's probably warmer somewhere around the world. Okay? That's kind of how it all fluctuates around us. So you don't have to hold it on.
Okay.
Okay?
Thanks.
Epilepsy guy. I see the
Thanks.
laser. I'm like,
Yeah.
wait a minute. So, no, you're fine. I've had people flash me with the other grids. I'm like, you got to slow down with that thing. Keep it down. There's a reason why I tell you to keep it down. But at any rate, so if you see something grow in heat, that means there's a cold spot growing nearby. So if the temperature rises here, it's going to go down somewhere else around you, or it's going to space out around you. I don't want you to find that cold spot. I want you to stay focused on the heat growing. So if it grows to like 10 to 12 degrees in like 5 seconds, that's growing in heat. That's proof that something is taking the energy and making itself cold. So when we go to places like this, like we're literally just going to take slow laps around, and you're going to just try to like hit the asphalt. Don't hit the cars. Cars can be sensitive to lasers. And you can shoot your laser on that metal wall, kind of see what's going on there. Just not in the windows.
Of course, yeah. I don't want to.
And I'll give very specific direction on lasers. Again, lasers can get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
As I'm sure you can imagine.
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot of weird stuff already. So, I wanted to show you guys a video while I'm teaching you about this. So, I caught this a few weeks ago in the next location that we're going to go to. Sorry, I run like 5 different pages on Facebook.
Oh, good.
Just gonna find it. Where is it? Page. Oops, no. So what we're looking at is there's a wall. You can see the orange, right? There's a bunch of people standing within the wall. There's 2 living people going by past the wall, just walking on the sidewalk. We're going to fast forward by 10 to 15 seconds, and you're going to see 2 dead people walk by.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
So do you see why I always say keep a person in perspective?
Yeah, 'cause
Those 2 people that walked
Yeah.
by should have been the same temperature. They should
They
have been orange, red, or
black
yellow.
or dark.
They were black, which is
Yeah.
the coldest. That is set to white hot, black cold. So it's like white, yellow, orange, red, and then it switches over to blue, dark blue, and then black. That's the
So
spectrum.
black is.
So black is cold. So again, that's what we're looking for on that specific device. You want those blue or black things to literally pop out of nowhere. So go ahead and take a quick lap, shoot some things with your
Okay,
laser.
so let me just ask you. So I'm gonna shoot this. Okay, and he's gonna film it. If his
If we're
temperature is higher by 10 degrees,
Lower.
lower
So
than 10
he's
degrees.
right now he's about 3 to 4 degrees higher than you. So if he drops about 6 to 8 degrees below yours, there's
Yeah.
obviously something going on. And
Yeah.
you should keep going until you should say, hey, I got something over here, and then we're gonna bring a spirit box and try to see what we can get onto. So
Cool.
let me see. I'm gonna ask if they asked about their shirt because I just got to work.
So we're just gonna kind of.
Yeah, just do a quick lap. Get used to how that device fluctuates.
So you stay in the
Keep the laser
shot.
on the window.
Okay. Let's go and see. Let me know if there's any dead people around me, okay?
Yeah.
I'm gonna shine some on the wall. 75.7.
You're 10 degrees off.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Well, you gotta stay in the thing. Well, it's because you're in the shot, so
You think?
I'm at, if I'm just on the wall,
75.2.
I'm at 80. So it's 5 degrees.
Well, you're supposed to be lower.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm about 75. Anything?
Let's go further down.
There's a lot of holes in these walls. 76. What's your temperature?
80.
Oh. Okay.
But I keep you in, and it goes to 90, 93.
I was gonna say something, but I don't remember. What about the sign? That's supposed to be in it, right? Where should we go now? Look over it?
Still, this stuff.
76.4.
I'm still above you.
No. Let me know if you go into the 60s.
I don't know how it would with you in it, though.
We'll have to ask him.
Do the wall.
Huh? Well, I'm supposed to be in it, right? He said he should always keep somebody in it. You're just gonna let me know if you get into the 60s. Or low 70s. Oh, jeez.
Let's do more.
Hmm?
Come on. I don't.
Well, we didn't feel anything. Let's go back. San Diego.
Let's do the fence and stuff over here.
Don't see anything.
I was going to ask you.
Do more of it. You're not measuring anything. Come on.
Oh, because it's the same temperature.
Well,
It's high 70s. You're not telling me if anything is.
nothing's changed.
Changing.
Keep going.
We haven't had any luck.
You guys ready to go learn some real history?
Yeah.
Instead of where the horses were kept?
For
I know
sure.
you guys got a lot there, and we'll have to listen in on see what you got because we didn't really ask a whole lot. Sorry, he was telling me personal experiences, and that's what the horses sound like when we spook them. So when we throw the lasers in there, it just comes like one after another, like they're all.
I saw that there was a couple holes in the wall, so I didn't want to do this one.
I think it was funny that they were asking about
Kansas City.
his shirt. And
He's
where
got
his shirt
Drake
came
on
from.
there.
Drake and Biggie and stuff.
Oh.
But again, it's just interesting. So every tour is different, and what I normally try to do is I'll try to find the theme within the night. So whatever the theme is, for example, the other night I was actually at this place where we're about to go. And we didn't hear anything, we didn't hear much. When I got back, I had the word treaty on my word list. Pinckney's Treaty on October 27th, 1795 was signed. So it was the exact date and the word, and we're standing in the Pinckney Mansion site.
Oh,
So it was kind of like, that's the connections that I
That's
find.
pretty crazy.
So one thing is, today's the 29th, correct?
yep.
So
I think
this is the anniversary of Charles Pinckney's death. He was born on the 26th of October, and he died on the 29th.
Oh, it's getting red right here.
This is going to be an interesting thing too. So that is possible. There are parking meters here, right? But the rest of the lot, if it continues, then that's when I kind of go into what's going on. So I'm going to give you the gist of what's going on here. So let's go ahead and touch your spirit box down in volume, so I don't have to scream and shout. I know I don't take you guys to pretty places, but I'm taking you to legitimate hunting locations. So where I showed you guys that video, and I will show them, was up in that corner. And you can see where the posts are, where the two dead people were walking by. I showed them a video so they knew what to look for, but after I'm done telling them what's going on here, I'll show it to you guys. Let's get you guys out of the drive, because that's the only way in and out of here. So this is the Pinckney Mansion site. This is also where that baked beans breakfast occurred. So Eliza was from England, and she got married to Charles Pinckney to stay here in the United States. So Dad thought he was dying, and he wanted all his kids home. She didn't want to get home. So she got married, became a citizen, stayed. So their mansion was in the front, Eliza's garden was right here where that tree lines up, and then their slave quarters were in the back. It's kind of how the layout was here. So Dad got better, they made amends. Dad started sending gifts over from England. One of those gifts happened to be the plant indigo. Indigo, I'm sure you guys have been driving around town, you guys live here, and you guys have Sneed Farm over there in Mount Pleasant. That's where the crops went to, but indigo makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. We still use it today. So it's a pretty big deal. Now we do have a deep history of indigo plants here because of the Gullah culture, but Eliza Pinckney was the one who made it profitable. So she used her dad's contacts to be able to sell it overseas, which made her a businesswoman, which was practically unheard of in the 1700s. So she's a pretty big deal here for Charleston. Charles, I usually go after Charles with my spirit box. Like, this is a place where we're going to separate a little bit, so you guys get a little bit more audio, and you guys have a little bit more free time with your spirit box. It's blinking again. Take note of the blinking light off the back of the Five Church restaurant. It doesn't always blink, nor does it blink in the same sequence, I guess is the right term, and it usually goes in sync with whatever your EMF is doing. It's usually on like a split-second delay. It's like the energy pours out of here and influences the light. Sometimes that light is fully on. That's kind of my barometer of how much activity are we going to have. So right now, we're getting some really good pulses out of it, so I'm actually expecting quite a bit, especially with today's date. So, a couple weird things about Eliza you can be asking. She was the second wife named Eliza from Charles. So, she goes by the maiden name. So, we want to try to find out what the maiden name is. So, you can, and I'll work with you guys on my spirit box too. I know that spirit boxes are a big, exciting toy. So we'll try to find that out. They had 4 kids, but only one was a daughter. Try to find out what her name was. Trying to get what else out of here. Oh, you can ask which president was a pallbearer at her funeral. So it was an actual president. You can ask anything about her death. So age, what she died from, any of those things, where she buried, all of that stuff. And I'm only giving you questions that I've had the answers to multiple times. So because you're going to be pestering Eliza, I'm going to go after Charles because today's a pretty important day and I know a little bit more about that history. So I want to see kind of what he has to say about his life. And he's been coming through more and more with my stuff. The EMF, again, if it's hot here, it's probably going to be hot in most areas. It might go down a little bit. You can also use that as a communication tool. So a lot of times when it's hot like that, and you're not getting much out of the spirit box, I'll ask whoever's here to actually just step away from it. Just make it go to green, and I'll kind of demonstrate, like, hey, just step away from the box. And you don't want to use common terms like what we use today. So to them, it's just a box with lights. So use the word box. They don't know spirit or EMF or any of those. I mean, they're 1700s. They don't know that stuff like we do. So try to keep your language pretty simple. These are colonial time periods. So this is a very interesting lot. The sad thing is they're going to put a commercial hotel here, which means I won't be able to explore it more, but they're not going to do an archaeological dig underneath. So that's what's going to suck. They're not going to be able to find more about the Pinckney family, and there's tons of artifacts over at Sneed Farm. I was actually just going through their list, and there's pages and pages and pages of them. We can learn more about the slave trade. We can learn how they treated their slaves. Like, there was a big deal with them and their slaves, because the Pinckney's promise was going to help ratify the 3/5 movement, and they owned a ton of slaves. So it was kind of a back and forth. There's a lot of politics here. This place also, how long have you guys lived here?
A couple years.
Okay, so
Yeah.
probably before your time, but there was a restaurant here called Molly Darcy's. It was an Italian, it was like, not Italian, it was an Irish pub. And there was somebody here that, it's funny, I just said the word pub. Somebody, one night at a party, it was like an after work party, they saw a full apparition, like they kind of dozed off on one of the chairs after having too many drinks. They got up and they seen a full apparition of a woman in a blue dress. Well, they had a ton of visitors in and out of here. And the time period of the dress, I guess, related to Eliza's aunt that used to come over from England. So again, just interesting stories come out of here. No other tour talks about this place. I have more evidence out of this location than any other place we're going to go to. So let's see what else we can collect. Ask those questions. Follow the EMF. You can play with the laser in here if you want to. Just kind of keep it off of cars and within the walls. So kind of
So
just
what are
leave
you supposed to see in there? Or are you
So-
supposed to catch?
Go ahead and lay it out for me, and I'll kind of give everybody a demonstration. You guys don't mind a little smoke? I'll take it from you for a second so I don't blow smoke in anybody's face. So watch up here. You see how those red lines only appear when something actually passes
Yeah.
through it? That's really what we're looking for, only it's not going to hover. It's not going to stay here. It's literally going to cut right through it. And if we catch it quick enough, if we have something that went through it once, call me over. I'll start snapping pictures, because sometimes you're going to miss it. It's literally going to be just out of the peripheral out of your eye.
Right, just like a quick.
Yep, it's going to be super fast. So the things I've seen out of the green one, and again, the green one is super bright. Like, it's ridiculous. I've seen crazy things out of that, where somebody had it shined on the wall over there at the Red Barn lot, like across from the barn, and it looked like a waterfall coming through, and there was no water on the ground, so it wasn't like reflective off anything off the ground. It was literally just, it looked like water was pouring through, and we all stared at it dazed. Not one of us thought to get out our damn phones to video it. I was like, what the hell? Like, and I was trying to like debunk it. Like, I'm looking at the ground, there's nothing. It's just water flowing. Craziness through these red or these green lasers.
Wow.
All right, so have some fun with your guys' spirit box, and just follow where the EMF's going. You know, you guys can stay here because it's pretty hot if you want to stay here, but I suggest moving around. There's several hot spots here. The slave quarters. You can also ask what happened to the mansion, which I'll give you a clue. It happened up in that corner. That's usually where I go if nobody else does. Your thermal imaging cam, it's all over. So you're going to learn a lot about thermodynamics again with the cars and how long they've been here and those kind of things. Once I get a few minutes of spirit box session on my own, I'll meet up with you guys. I do want to show them that video. So I'll give you, go ahead and start your tour,
Yeah.
but just watch your laser on the cars.
Cool.
The video I showed them.
Did you get in, right? I will make the same thing on like 75, 76. So.
Go to the gates.
What's your temperature?
80.
Oh. Hold on. Let me see if I can measure your forehead. Can you move your hat for a second? This is your 89 degrees.
Anything weird? I know you guys were up by that gate.
No, that's why I
No,
thought the gate
nothing.
might put something out weird, but and there was people walking by, so I used their temperature.
So I get a lot of homeless that'll kind of duck in by that gate. I was going to warn you, but I didn't see anybody
There was
yet.
nothing. Yeah, it was pretty.
I did have a customer a few nights ago. She said she saw that light turn on, and I'm like, I don't think so. There's no power going to that light whatsoever, and I just watched 2 cars go by. So if I was watching it, was really just watching the light, because we didn't see it come on after a few more minutes. But again, I think she just saw the reflection of a car light. I mean, it is dark out here,
Right.
and it does reflect back.
Yeah, I thought for sure the gate would be a good.
Well, actually, that gate belonged to Molly Darcy's.
Really?
Yeah, so it's their house. I mean, you went straight up to the porch. There were pillars, the whole nine. Like, there was a gate in front. It just wasn't this wall. This wall.
So this was the site of the mansion? Like this whole board, this whole
lot was theirs.
was their house.
Their house. This was where Eliza loved to come stay. Now they had several houses, and one of them being at Snee Farm. So you can go up to the Charles Pinckney Historical site up there and see all the artifacts that they found. I'm actually going to go there sometime this weekend. My wife is doing a Civil War project for school, so I'm going to be taking her to Fort Sumter and stuff like that to show her around.
We've never been there.
I haven't either.
Well,
To
Fort Sumter, you've been there,
not to the
but
Pinckney
just
site. No.
I'm actually going to take all my equipment. So, like, whenever I go to museums like that, I'm doing an investigation, but
You're
I look
working.
like a normal customer.
Yeah.
So, like, that guy's hanging out of my cargo pocket, but the camera's right at the top so nobody sees it.
Right.
The spirit box is running on mute in my pocket, and then I have this guy running on my clip. So I have enough data and still able to enjoy the museum. Not to mention, if I have a tour guide, I'm recording the whole thing so I can write the right blog post about it and get my facts straight.
Right.
So
yeah.
that's how I do all of my investigations. I just got back from the Flight 93 Memorial in Pennsylvania for
Oh, wow.
9/11.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was amazing. I was able to go through and pay my respects. I was there for 2 hours, so I listened to 2 hours of Spirit Box. You know what I mean? Like, I just listened to it later, and I look at the word list and see what comes up and look to see what matches. I had a ton of data come out
Wow,
of that.
I bet.
I'm sure.
So
Wow, that's pretty crazy.
yeah, so like that box that he has, I love that damn thing. Like, that's my new best friend. It's got an SD card in it. I throw it in the computer. Done. I can just listen to it right there. I throw my headphones on in my office. And I just sit back and listen while I pet my dog and write down everything I hear.
That's pretty crazy.
That's my job. That's my life.
That's awesome.
So
I mean,
I go to school. I write books. put up a podcast and blog, and I take you guys ghosting. Like, that's my life.
That's
Pretty awesome.
you set it up nicely.
Yeah, you sure did.
Well, I had to walk away from 6 figures to be able to do it.
Well, most of the time you do.
Yeah.
In order to do what you want, you're walking away from.
I'm trying to get Charles to come through here and give us anything, because he doesn't always put his name up there for me. He likes just recognition. So he'll give me words like what political party he's part of, his birthday, you know. It just, he won't always give me exactly his name. He has, but like tonight, I said, come on, Charles, put your name on the box for me. And he put the word shy up there. So I'm like, I just heard Chris, rewind by 5 seconds.
Chris?
Yeah. Again, my ears are tuned to it all the time because this is what I do for a living.
Yeah.
So when I sit, you'll have to rewind by 5 seconds and really turn your car radio up or wherever you're going to listen to this at. That way you can actually hear it.
Okay.
Charles, I want you to give us the month of your birthday. Today's the anniversary of your death, but when's your birthday? Clouded. Charles, touch the box again and tell us what month you were born. I thought I heard Asian.
Yeah, I kind of heard that too.
Charles, put your name on the screen for us. Charles, get closer to the box that I'm holding with the blue and green lights. Put your name on the screen. Walking away from us. Something there, rewind by 5 seconds. Charles, tell me what happened to the house. Knife. That's not it. Tell me what happened to the house. 1861. Long after you died. Let me see what they're catching on those beer cards.
Can you open that?
Huh?
I asked you to open it.
Oh, there's a put it in my bag. That's right.
I want to go back to the gate.
Okay, I just stand in front of you. You always have somebody in the
Well, there was people, so I had temperature. Before.
Go up on the line. What's your temperature?
80.
center?
In the corner. I think it's going crazy over there. It's going crazy over there.
Charles, how old were you when you died? If something comes up, like your red dot is mostly on as prominent in this video. If something's bright enough that passes through the red dot, the sensor piece, he'll definitely catch it. It'll be a white outline because it doesn't seem to be neat. So it only looks at objects that go in the radio. Yeah. But again, if something's moving, even if it's the same temperature, it'll put a white outline around it because it's trying to help us see it 3D because it can't see it. Alright, so I'm going to kind of wrap this up because we're not really getting much out of either. We got Eliza, we were asking all kinds of questions, and a song lyric came through that said, "Just leave me alone." So then I moved on to Charles, not getting much there, but we did hear your name again.
Oh,
So, and again,
intriguing.
there's no Christopher from the kids of Eliza and Charles. So the answers to the questions that we were asking, it's Eliza Lucas Pinckney. That was the one who planted the indigo. The first wife was Eliza Lamb Pinckney. Lamb is in the animal. She died at the age of 70 by breast cancer in Philadelphia, and that's also where she's buried. So she's not even buried in Charleston.
So she was number 2 or number 1?
This is number 2.
She's probably pissed. Doesn't want to hear anymore because she's number 2. This is number 1.
Well, we all basically we have a proud moment with number 2.
Right.
You know, because of all the things that she did. I just touched a very small base. There's been tons of books written on this woman. So what else did I ask you? Oh, the mansion caught fire in 1861. That was a great fire that we had here. So you probably read a lot about that in the Charleston history. The reason why I say that corner up there is a hot spot is because it occurred on that second floor right above it. So that's why.
A fire? Is there
Yeah, it was a fire in 1861. So it was after both Charles and Eliza. It was when the house was passed down to the kids. So it was still in the family, but they still. I usually get the words fire or it blew up.
I heard fire when you were over there or something.
I listen to a
Bunch of
lot
stuff
of the.
just rambling through
Yeah,
it.
instead of me skipping around, I usually go straight here just to see what was caught. Oh, and it was George Washington was a pallbearer
Oh, wow.
at her funeral. So that tells you what kind of a prominent lady she was.
Oh, that's
cool.
Like that's a pretty
That's a
big
big deal.
freaking deal.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a pallbearer. He carried her to her grave. That's some crazy stuff. I don't have a list of the slaves, but I do have a list of some of the ones that kind of worked in the house and knew a lot about the indigo culture. I just found it. I've been looking for it forever. I did really dig to find it. So I'll see, because I was looking at names for my last tour, none of them matched up, but I did get the name, what was it, Noah that came up. And we heard Chris on my Spirit Box earlier and Chris on yours. So again, I don't know if you attract things. We'll see what happens throughout the rest of the
Now,
night.
does your phone set this thing off too?
It can, but it has to be literally right on top of it.
Oh, okay.
See how it kind of gave it that red blip, and it's going to
Yeah.
give it a pulse. So,
It's got to be really close to it.
oh yeah, it's got to be basically touching it. It's a invisible field.
Right.
So, we're going to walk up 4 blocks up to Lodge Alley. By all means, keep filming. You don't have to be slow here. Just keep up. We're a nice small group. Lasers are a no-go for sure. Your EMF meter is going to go nuts because of the parking meters. Our electrical lines for that in crosswalks are under the sidewalk. So it's going to be able to, it's strong enough to touch it. I want you to go ahead and keep listening to that along the walk and listen for names. I'll explain more once we get to Lodge Alley. It's a great picture spot if anybody wants to take pictures of it. And we also have, well, the moon was pretty cool
Yeah, we
looking
saw it.
earlier.
It was full.
Yeah, we got a full blue moon, which means the second moon in the same month on Halloween this year.
Yeah,
So-
that's pretty cool.
I would tell you, I probably, because I look at moon phases all the time. The
Yeah.
highest activity for me is a new moon. So that's when it's at half. So that's kind of new beginnings. It's almost like everything resets for me. It's crazy. Like full moons gets a little nuts, and I'll be honest, it's usually my guests get a little crazy. And it's kind of like I almost have to be aware when I have a full moon, because it's the weird people that come out on the full moon because they're being affected. Not that you guys are, but you guys actually seem all pretty hip to this. But yeah, it's the new moon where I get excited. And I'm actually really excited about the light blending
Oh,
tonight.
it's coming out again.
Nice. Unfortunately, it's going to be behind us. I'm just thinking of the rest of my tour on Halloween because people are going to want to take pictures galore. So, but yeah, let's take a walk. It's definitely a mask-up area. We might pass by some restaurants that are dining outside. If you're a smoker, drinker, you're drinking something, so that's a safe thing. You probably see me vaping. That helps me stay away from the stupid masks. But yeah, let's go take a hike.
Okay. Do it.
One step up, 3 down.
Okay.
I've had people trip and land.
Oh, I'm sure.
I got insurance, but I don't want to use it.
Right. You also don't want anyone to bust their face on the floor.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody hurts. I've had like people that practice witchcraft. I never got.
Oh,
It's a conspiracy.
it's basically the rioters still haven't been paid. George Soros.
Oh. So, what do you guys think? Pretty different, huh?
Pretty cool, yeah.
It's intriguing for sure.
I like the stories.
Where you going, friend? Exactly why I waited. Car accident. Car accident. You locals probably know this as the slave mart, but you know that this is not where they actually sold slaves.
We don't know
Oh,
that.
okay.
What
Yeah,
did
we
they
don't
do
know.
with them?
So they were actually either sold as soon as they came through the customs house, or they were sold at the slave mart on Chalmers Street. So it's a misnomer that this is the marketplace.
Got it.
So what did they do here?
It was exactly
Just
what
exactly what it
today.
is now?
Yep, it was just an artisan slave, and a lot of it was slaves that had side hustles of weaving baskets and stuff like that. And look at that, it's a debate.
Huh.
Amazing the things that come out of this box. Yeah, once they came through the customs house,
They were just like right on the stairs there, like that.
they would auction them off right there as soon as they came through.
Oh.
Because there would be a list that they would send out to the town.
Of who was coming in or something?
It wasn't even a who, it was more like a what.
What
Yeah.
skills
Strong male,
are, yep,
18 years.
skills.
Do you know what I mean? Things like that. Good farmer, good strong hand, like you said, skill sets.
It's weird to think that ever happened here.
Happened a lot.
Yeah. I know. What does it say?
It says courtroom.
Courtroom?
I don't know that there is a courtroom in there, but it sure as hell looks like one.
Yeah.
That definitely looks like a court for sure.
I'm not going to add that to your evidence unless I look it up and see what's actually in there. This week has just been super weird. All of October, I was turning people away because I try to keep it at 10.
Right.
I was literally like, no, sorry, I'm full. Sorry, I'm full. And then this week, it was like, it just dropped off. Like, there's nothing.
Which is weird because it's a Halloween week.
Right. I mean, I'm fully booked. Well, almost.
Are you
fully
for the
booked
Halloween
for
weekend? I would
Friday and
imagine.
Saturday,
Yeah.
But I got nothing on Sunday.
Huh.
So it's just weird. And I'm not even seeing other groups out either. Because I usually run into some of the
Are
other.
you the only, I'm guessing there's more than just one?
Oh, there's a handful, I believe.
Well, I'm the only guy that does this. Like, this is my business. So the other, like, I have competitors at Bulldog and those city tours.
Oh, I see.
So I don't even see them out and about. I'm a lone wolf out here.
You just said it's on the second floor.
I've been doing this for over a year now. And I was the big guy on the block last year, so I didn't have much going on. But like now, I expect to be busy all the way to Halloween.
Right,
Especially
right.
with the full moon, it's a Saturday.
Yeah, for sure. What's happened here?
Any names yet, Braden?
I
Nothing?
heard a few things. They said like club and stuff.
Okay. That's far.
Oh yeah, and they said come inside.
Once you get a little bit of drink, get you a little young. There's a vehicle up there. That is the strangest thing. Hopefully they leave soon. Like normally, nobody's supposed to be parking there.
Is that the spot where you would?
I normally stop like right where that white pipe is and just kind of give you a gist of what's happening, so
Yeah.
I'm not disrupting the restaurant. But I mean, we'll still stop there, but hoping to get around that. Look now, like what is blocking my way? And it's I got close to me. Yeah.
In the car.
So this is Lodge Alley. You're not going to get much down here, so if you do get anything, it's exciting. Now, even with it staying on green, that to me is a pattern. So we're going to count that out as it's probably coming from one of the buildings. Somebody in this hotel probably has a bunch of stuff plugged in right at this wall. This is worker. Just wondering what the hell that car is. But anyway, Lodge Alley is actually one of our oldest streets here in Charleston. People lived here. These two buildings that we see right now, they weren't here. They had shotgun houses down here, so you can shoot a bullet through the front, it'll go out the back. That's how small they were. I have the full list of residents of everybody that's ever lived here. That's why I asked Braden to listen for names. Two names that often come up are Benjamin and John. They both lived here in 1801. They were 2 out of the 4 residents. So it just happened to be that those two names show up together often. I also get a lot of weird orbs that come out of here and light shadows. Again, my wife does all the photography and graphic design for Stories of the Cemetery. If I get something, it goes to her. She can't debunk it. It's legit. So again, it's not just me looking at this stuff. I'm like, oh, this one looks funny, and I'll email it to her and say, what do you think? I get a green orb down here all the time. I've seen it move. Some people have sent me video of it moving. Like, it's crazy, and it's never in the same spot. It's all over the place.
No, it's going nuts.
Your phone's out. Move your
Oh,
phone.
that's probably why it's so close to the phone.
Yep.
Okay.
See? Not here to make stuff up.
Boom.
But this is actually a very interesting place. I used to tell stories about when I used to work with a psychic. Just kind of a spooky place to tell my history. Then all this activity started happening. But I have like a full archaeological dig of what they did here in between these clay bricks. They found their silverware. What'd you get?
Dickies?
Dickies?
Yeah,
Is that
I'm
what
wearing
pants
Dickies
you're wearing?
pants.
Because we did ask him what kind of pants he was wearing or
That's
something like
crazy. It's going after your name and his outfit. So, totally weird. But they found like some of their tools and silverware and little pieces of their clothes and stuff like that, and they were able to consider these people lower class. So if you look down at the edge, you see buildings down there, but back then, Charleston was much skinnier because all the stuff we have on the outside is man-made. So that draft from low tide would have been coming through, nasty. Lower class people down here. So it would have been not a very pleasant place to live. Plus they were shotgun houses. And there was a guy named Alexander that actually tried to do a boarding house down here. And he had, I think, 3 rooms in his house versus the normal 2. So the city wouldn't allow it to have so much square footage. But the name Alex will pop up from time to time too. And I was like, that's weird to have a name Alexander. His mom sucked. So, like, who the hell names their kid that? But the Masons also used to meet down here too. So again, there's a ton of history down here. Quite shadows down here, all kinds of things. The bricks you're looking at, they're also handmade. These are clay bricks. These aren't actual normal bricks, as I'm sure you guys can tell.
Yeah, it's tough to
None
look
of them
at.
are the same.
Oh.
Yeah, these are late 1600s or like 1700s. And again, it's laid out to take on the flooding that comes in from the water, obviously, because it's the center. But the bricks none of them are the same shape, size, none of them are spaced properly. It actually gets a little worse as we walk along. I have a flashlight for when we get up there. I think I'm going to use it because it had cars in our way. We're going to have to skip around to the right. But definitely keep listening to that spirit box. You're doing great with the audible level, so thank you for that. You're not disturbing anything. It's just so funny. Yeah. It's like, oh, he's got something.
But
And I was like,
I found that picture.
oh, yeah, let's take a look.
See if you can see it. I literally was going through thousands of photos, and that just caught my eye.
Is it like center right?
It's okay, so I usually have people look and see. A lot of times they can't see it, and then I usually circle it after.
Yeah, center right.
Yeah.
So,
Isn't that nuts? I caught this on my
What
deer.
is that?
I caught this on my trail cam, and I have 5 acres of house I sold. So usually I was going through thousands of pictures, like it was all the same, and then I'll circle where it's at now. A lot of times you can't see exactly what it is.
Oh, wow.
But I went through back through just to see if it was like the high grass moving, but it wasn't. And my wife at the time, she put it on the computer and zoomed it in, and then we saw way more. It was like it was super crazy. It looked like a figure, like a body.
Oh, my, that's
and as you kept going through, you could see
crazy.
like it was turning. It was pretty nuts.
Wow.
Like I said, it was a little crappy little trail camera I had sitting out there, and I was just going through to see what deer were coming through.
Yeah.
And that's just something I just stopped. I just stopped. Something caught my eye in that picture. I went back to it, and I was like, and then I said, "Do you see this?" And then they didn't really see it. And then she put it on her computer, and then we blew it up, and then it just you could just see it.
Wow.
It was
Oh,
nuts.
wow.
So, if you send that to me, I'll probably
Yeah.
have her run it through.
Because it's got
all
like
of her
I was
programs.
looking. It's got like the temperature, the day, the time, and all that.
Nice.
It's like
So she'll run
that
through
one
a couple
is
of
that one's
filters.
stamped. So you can see
Yeah,
at the
see,
bottom
that's
it's
what I was looking at
stamped, yeah.
before. So she'll run
It
it
was
through
just
some
during
filters, some
about
black
this
and
time
whites.
during hunting season that
Diamonds, I heard diamonds.
it was crazy.
Wow.
You're gonna hear a lot of diamonds.
For it to catch your eye too. Yeah.
Like I mean, it was
I
all
kinda
the
think
same.
that
Like trail cam catches
Same
so
picture
many
of
of the wind
over
blowing.
and over.
That picture just happened to catch my eye,
Wow.
and I stopped on that, and then it was like 1,200 pictures on there. It was all the same. That it just happened to catch that, and went back 4 or 5 different pictures, and you could definitely see it was like a figure, and it looked like the head was turning or something. I looked and I saw like it looked like an old, scary looking man with a crazy looking face, But
Wow.
it
like to see what
That's
my
pretty
wife will do.
crazy.
Yeah, I'll
Wow.
send it to you for sure.
Yeah,
because
sure.
I'm super
You know,
duper curious.
shit.
Of course, yeah.
You know
Now that you have
what it is.
another
or whatever.
set of eyes that,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, and I get, what's funny is I get messages
I'm
from
sure.
from 6 months ago, and that's why I say when you guys email me, just put when you took your tour, so I know which data I'm looking at. I mean, I do this 6 nights a week, so when if it comes in a text message, obviously
Yeah.
I know where it comes from. But if it's emailed, somebody emailed me from 6 months ago, like
Right.
you got to tell me the date at what you heard,
Yeah,
so I
for
can
sure.
go back. I mean, there's literally.
Well, I just keep telling them because their mom, like where they're at now, stuff's getting thrown off the table. I keep telling them, get a freaking video camera so you can catch that shit on video and then go
So-
back through
Wow.
it.
Even
Yeah.
still, like at the top of your data page, all of the apps that I use and all of the equipment that I carry around with me is listed up there. So the apps are all free. There's
Yeah.
free versions of all of them. Just test the EMF around the house and see what's going on. If something's
Gotcha.
going, moving around and shit, pull out
Yeah.
that EMF meter
Well,
and then it's spirit box.
My oldest son was total skeptic, but hadn't really seen anything in this house. He said he heard it sound like somebody wearing like the old school windbreaker jeans, like moving in your footsteps, and it stopped. And he was actually sleeping in his room at the time. Braden was down here with me because we're from Michigan. I grew up in Michigan. I'm just recently moved down here. So my oldest was like, I heard something. I thought someone was in the house, and then footsteps, and then he saw a shadow in front of the door, and he thought he started calling for his mom. Thought it was his mom, and he got up. There was nothing there.
Wow.
It's weird because in the basement there's this weird room in like the corner, and if the light's on, nothing will happen. Like throughout the house, like 2 weeks, nothing will happen. If the light ends up getting off, that's when the weird stuff starts happening.
So leave the light on and see if it shuts off on its own.
It doesn't. We left it on for weeks.
And he was down there. There's like a big, heavy, old school like wood door. And there's
Yeah, it
carpet.
has like
So
a weird hole in it.
he saw something running across the floor. So it was by a mouse or something.
Right.
He said, no, the door started opening. It kept opening. And it didn't stop.
You guys
So
can start videoing that.
until he stood up. Until he stood up and said, stop, and I stopped. So he went over. It was a total like, I'm going to, he pushed the door to see if it would just keep going or if it stopped, but it stopped. I mean, as soon as he let go, it stopped. So you have to constantly push the door for it to keep going, like what it was doing. So it was super weird. But when I went there a couple weeks ago, I was bringing some stuff from the basement, and we all were down there, and it was nothing. When I went down, it was still dark, and I immediately got like the worst chills I've ever gotten in my entire life. Here's when Nick stood up, and I got like huge chills. I was like,
But your beard, did it go up?
what? No, that'd be hilarious. But I literally was like, you know what? I thought we'll never go back in the basement again. It was
That's the stuff
super
that
creepy.
excites me. Is the shit.
It does me, but it didn't feel. Everything that we've seen has felt friendly, and that did not at all. That house it has is creepy. It's a super duper creepy, not.
Yeah, when I'm
friendly
there, like
vibe at all.
nothing happens at all. And I leave, and then the stories, and I'm just like, I want something to happen.
Because usually it's him or me that
Yeah.
see that stuff.
Yeah.
They usually don't. My ex was like, thought I was crazy until it, like I was telling you about, we left and to get something, and she called me, is Braden with you? And I'm like, yeah, why? She was like, no, he's not. I'm like, he's standing right here, I'll talk to him. And she put on the phone, she started screaming, oh my God. I go, why? She's like, I was calling for Braden. Something responded, what do you want? What? I was like, what? And my little one heard it too. They thought it was Braden, and he was with me the whole time. It was crazy.
I just got chills on that
Oh
one.
my god.
Wow. That's intense.
Stories like that are exactly why I do what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Because that's the same type of stuff. I mean, maybe not to that extreme. I've had more personal,
Yeah.
like being channeled and stuff like that happen, and working with psychics. Like I see,
Yeah.
all kinds of.
Dog just walked by.
We're gonna try to go to the right.
Like, what makes them think other people don't need to come down this alley?
There's no reason why people need to come down here.
They don't drive the.
Yeah.
Oh. I didn't know if they do deliveries and stuff.
You ever
or-
driven on our cobblestone roads?
I won't do this. Would
This is
You used to do PDA, didn't you?
well in their truck, but
Yeah.
that's just because we were dropping off for a specific.
Right.
So these are houses here, so let's kind of watch where that laser's pointed.
Yeah, I'm not gonna probably do it.
Nice cool night. Thank you for picking a nice cool night.
Perfect night. The rain stopped.
Those are your boots.
Yeah, sorry, I'm dragging my feet.
Lift your feet.
Your boots are heavy.
Anybody else smell a weird fruit? Or is that
Yeah, I
just the
do.
garbage?
I saw something.
So
it's over the garbage.
So I got a story. Let's see if it pops up again. Now, great picture spot if anybody wants it, and the moon looks amazing that way.
Oh, cool.
So, but that's St. Philip's Church.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of stories that wrap around
I
that
would
too.
imagine there's tons in there.
Well, a lot of those are legends and lore, and I don't get a whole ton of activity around it. So I kind of cut the legends out. So I go to the actual haunted locations.
Yeah.
So I tell the story of the alley out here because it's very popular. So let's go ahead and cut your. By the way, when his spirit box, even when it's on mute, it's still recording for us.
Cool.
So we'll be able to hear everything tomorrow morning. And I did get the word roadway as soon as we walked out of Lodge Alley. So again, it feels like it's very directional, and the two of you seem to be targeted out of some of these words. So I don't know why.
Me?
Me.
No,
Oh.
Chris and his outfit.
Oh, okay.
So, but anyway, this is a very popular ghost horror stop. So it's like where you hear all the stories, and this is their big finale. So I just stay out of it. We actually have tools that can prove or disprove what's actually happening down here. It's also the most beautiful spot in Charleston, so it's gorgeous down here. So again, a great picture spot, and I do get weird stuff too. Wow, that aura around the moon is crazy right now.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It's almost like a rainbow around it.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
So, sorry, just caught my eye. But the story goes, and this is probably the longest story I have. There was a doctor from Rhode Island that moved down here. His name was, and I want you to keep the initials of the state in mind, RI, because it matches up and shows up on our spirit boxes later. Oh, that's awesome for your audio. So, welcome to Charleston. So, Rhode Island, he moves down here because he's supposed to get married to Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. The attorney that handled the money said, no, you're not getting married, send the doctor away. I think he's just after your money. So he moves to Charleston. The coachman that brought him into town set him up to be robbed and killed. Be weird if we get anything out here. This is just a random rob. So, but anyway, he set him up to be robbed and killed, and somebody walking by named Ralph Isaacs with the initials RI said, seeing what was going on, and he said, you don't want to stay here, let me take you somewhere else. He takes him to 59 Church Street, which is the same block where the big steeple is, but about a mile that way. So, gets him a room to rent, he's all good to go. The two become friends. The doctor's practice starts taking off, he's making lots of money, which means Amanda's moving down soon. He becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. So, if you Google the Whistling Doctor, you're going to get a very long version of this story. I'm giving you just the skinny for the spirit boxes and the cameras, of course. So anyway, his practice is taken off, so he's in a different part of society. So him and Ralph go see plays together, but they have to sit in different seats because of where they are in society. So they're talking about a play on the way home, because they can't do it while the play's happening. The doctor loves the new actress that's in town. Ralph doesn't. They start arguing, then it turns into an insult party on Amanda back home in Rhode Island. So obviously the two get pretty pissed off at each other and they go their separate ways. So what happens after that, Ralph is from Charleston, which means he has ties to the newspaper. He writes in the paper what a disgrace the doctor is to the city of Charleston. It's too expensive, he takes our money, he's not one of us, blah, blah, blah. The doctor rebuttals with, let's go to Dueler's Alley and settle this. So when you think of a duel, what normally happens?
Right. Guns pop.
Guns,
Right,
yeah.
Back
guns
to back.
popping, and normally somebody's gonna die, right? That's actually another misnomer, just kind of like the same thing I told you guys about the market. Most of the time it was an act of bravery. The shots normally were, I'm willing to take a bullet for whatever we're arguing about, but a lot of times the bullets were shot into the ground or up in the air. So here's what happened with the doctor. They come down, they take their 20 paces, they turn, the doctor points his gun in the air, and he shoots. He didn't want to kill his friend, but he was willing to take a bullet if that's the way Ralph felt. Ralph took a shot below the knee on the doctor. He drops. And normally, if there was a killing, the loser of the duel would go through that doorway and that brick wall, through the courtyard and over to the cemetery at St. Philip's, drop him in a pre-dug grave, and then they go celebrate the winner. That didn't happen to the doctor. He just took a bullet below the knee. He's wounded. So his friends pick him up, and they carry him the 1.5 miles away from here, back home. He dies 10 days later. The moral of the story is you don't want to get engaged to Amanda.
Right. She's sad news.
She is bad news. Don't piss with the doctor. They say as you walk through the alley, you can actually hear the whistles of the doctor. It's a little windy tonight, but you hear how quiet it is. It's like this day or night, even with the hustle and bustle of East Bay Street 2 blocks away. So I consider this a full block away, considering the size of the lot. But it's always like this. I've caught it twice where I couldn't debunk it. We do get a lot of hecklers. Big fake one comes through all the time because people walking by the alley like to know ghost hunters are here. So when you're listening to this is where you're going to crank it up in the car and you're going to be listening. I try to stay away from the spirit box so you guys have a clear audio. They also say you can hear the gunshots. I haven't caught those yet. So in a year and a half, I'm going to debunk the gunshot thing. I've never heard it. Got the word violence. We're about to go through Dueler's Alley.
Wow.
The other interesting thing about this particular alley is before it was Dueler's Alley, it was called Cow Alley because it's also where they kept the livestock for the city of Charlestown before it became Charleston. So again, all of the livestock was kept here. Then it was called Dueler's Alley, and now we have it as Philadelphia Alley. Philadelphia saved us from one of our many fires. We had to rename it after dueling became stupid and illegal. So, last bit about this place, besides the really cool Death Gate, which if you guys want to go check that out, it's just a hole in the wall. But as you walk through the alley, the bricks get older. So just kind of like I was telling you guys about the Slave Mart, they're all sun-dried bricks from slave kids. These were refreshed and renewed, so they're going to be a lot smoother. The ones at the end actually have fingerprints from slave kids. We also have a full handprint at the very end. So it is outside somebody's home. I will point it out, but we will have to be brisk and kind of walk out to the left. Now, also keep in mind, the way the handprint is set up, the thumb overlaps into the next brick. So if you think about that kid, and he was probably younger than you. How old are you?
15.
I was going to guess 14 or 15. So he's probably younger than Brady. He had to put that brick in wet and then slam his hand into it. So it was almost like it was out of anger. So just like I told you guys, cemeteries don't have much activity. I never get anything from that handprint. So if we get anything on EMF, wonderful, great. We're probably not going to, yeah, it's at the very end. We're going to go in here, and if you guys want to check out the gate, I could show you over there, but not really much happening. It's just a gate in the wall. I just like to point it out because nobody really knows what it was there for.
Yeah.
Because the dead guy from the duel would go through the gate.
Okay.
And there's no activity there because the guy's dead. The tragedy happened over here. Your EMF does go off about 3/4 of the way through because of the Footlight Players Club. That's an actor studio for all of our theaters down here.
Gotcha.
So if you get something, it's probably, and you're near the Footlight Players Club, it's probably from their equipment inside. They leave it on. But this is a gorgeous alley, so if you want pictures, by all means, take as many pictures as you want. It's absolutely
Yeah,
gorgeous. I love this place. And somebody left the gate open, so I'm going to close it and give you the creepy sound effect of it opening. They have something creepy.
It's annoying because there's squirrels and no knocks. It's like,
You can't get it with
You
the
can
fire.
never
Yeah.
Oh, it's wet. It's not going to make any noise.
Oh.
There's nothing there. It's not creepy at all.
Wow.
So, like I was telling you guys earlier, locals, there's a lot of myths and legends up in that area, and when I have like a group of 2 and we're walking fast because we didn't have much going on at Pinckney, I add those to the tour. But I'm going to add one. Oh, I didn't tell you guys about the weird smell. So, a few weeks ago, I'm walking down to the end, and all of a sudden I smell a weird fruit, just almost the same thing as what we just smelled. And I had this weird thing with smells on my investigation, so I didn't say anything. I wanted to see if one of the guests would say anything. So he walks up behind me, he's like, oh, I smell passion fruit. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure that's grapefruit. It's a little tart in the nose. So we're dancing around trying to find where it's coming from at the very end. It was the same exact smell we had out of there. So I was like, it doesn't make any sense. Then I get the word pie that shows up. I'm like, that definitely doesn't make any sense. I go home, start Googling, looking up all my shit and research. I find grapefruit pie was a lost recipe on Southern Living, and it came from Charleston.
Oh, that's
I'm like, you've got to be shitting me. How do I put this stuff together?
Wow.
Who finds this stuff? But yeah, this gate wasn't here. It was just an open doorway. Like this gate, I'm gonna guess is like early 1900s. So we did have like a gate guy here in town. I think he just recently passed, if I'm not mistaken, over the past year or 2 years ago. But he did most of the gates that you guys see here in Charleston. You can see his signature with stuff like this, and then also like the lattice down at the bottom. So a lot of you could see his work all over town. He's everywhere. We really need to do something about this tree, though. It's a very popular spot. bricks, but a lot of them have been kind of refreshed, renewed. You can see how flat they are.
Right.
Kind of smooth them over. Had the word wife. Had the word Amanda at the very start of the tour. So we'll see what else pops up. So in that cemetery, at the very front of it, at the gates, there's a sign that reads, "There's no ghost at St. Philip's but the Holy Ghost." There's a reason for that. So if you guys are ever walking around down here, and go look for the sign. And it's really cool to play with the lasers in there too. I like letting people play with at the grave art. Anyway, 1888, there was a woman that died 10 days after her stillborn child. Her name was Sue Howard Hardy. Now, Sue, 1988, was seen on a picture by a photographer from Charleston. He was walking around doing something, writing, and he gets a picture of a full apparition. Woman with a shawl over her and a baby basket next to her, right next to that grave. So it was 101 years later. It was in 1888 and 1989. So, but Sue Howard Hardy, whenever I talk about her, I used to call her Susan when I used to tell the story. The name Sue would come up, like correcting me almost every time. It's like, my name's Sue, not Susan. I don't show the picture on the tours because it's allegedly cursed. Women that hold the picture allegedly don't feel well, kind of the same stuff I told you about. Women who are pregnant don't have a good pregnancy. I'm very superstitious, as I'm sure y'all can imagine. I'm not cursing my people. So again, if you ever see that sign when you guys are walking around, that's what that's there for. They don't want guys like me poking around looking for ghosts.
Yeah.
We all do it anyway.
Yeah. Makes you want to do it more.
Well, all the other ghost tours, like that's one of the big stops too. Like they stay in this general center area.
Yeah.
You got a great picture too. St. Philip's people in the back. All right, I'm used to dealing with tourists and.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is a great picture even for a local.
Yeah. I use stuff like that for marketing and the Facebook page.
Sure.
Of course, I have the wife clean them up. Every once in a while, I come up with something good. Really? You're gonna shut off? Great. So these are people's houses. Their address is Philadelphia out. You can imagine the kind of real estate prices.
Yeah.
But you'll start to see the fingerprints right in here. They're going to be all through here.
Oh, wow.
And then there's the full handprint.
on here.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Blind girl.
Yeah, blind.
Blind girl.
Look at them.
So I'll show you where the handprint is at the very end. Like they're all through here. You just got to keep your eyes peeled.
There's some.
Oh, kids.
Some bingo swipes. Blue bricks here.
Yeah.
Handprints right there.
Oh, it sure is.
And people walk over this thing every day and they have
Have
no
no
idea.
No idea. Yeah. Crazy.
That orb on the moon is killing me. It's crazy. That's a great sign.
Yeah, my hand's gonna hurt with that. Oh.
Nicotine?
Oh.
You still recording?
Yep.
Those mints?
No.
A little nicotine packs
Oh,
for him. Yeah.
Little spitless.
that's cool. I was wondering what that was. I didn't recognize the canister.
Yeah, it's like a little, instead of vaping or smoking.
Sorry, I'm a writer. I gotta smoke.
I did for
I mean,
25, 30 years.
This is new.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, vaping I went to after smoking 2 packs a day.
yeah. I did it
Yep.
for a while.
It was the same with him.
But this is, I haven't it allows me to get my nicotine
Yeah.
kick. So
Gotcha. All right, so we're gonna take a look at one last building, guys. It's the Wagner building with the moon right above it.
oh wow,
So this actually was part of our cotton industry. So the last person who had it was a cotton warehouse. His name was George Poirier. George inherited the business from his dad, clueless, silver spoon kid, got himself into a bunch of debt, blew through his inheritance really, really quick. So he needed to get out. We also had the boll weevil in town. It's a bug that eats cotton. So now his crop is crap. Like he's got to get out. So he doesn't want to give it to the Americans and get rid of his debts. He decides he's going to sell off to the British so that way he doesn't get caught with the bad crop. So again, Charleston is much skinnier. He can watch the British ship roll in. He's watching from the second story window of the front. Their online stories will say the third story. My data says second. So anyway, the British roll up. They unload by horse and buggy back here by these really cool garage doors. He watches the whole thing. Once the ship's loaded, somebody gets too close to it with a pipe. The whole ship catches fire. Everybody dies. George watches the whole thing. He's already depressed from his dad being gone. Now his dad's legacy's gone. So he piles up all the furniture, captain's chair on top, climbs to the rafters and swings a noose and hangs himself. There's a newspaper kid that came down the next morning at this building right here. So newspaper kid called him the next morning. Had to run back to the press room and tell him what happened. So they say you can see the shadow of the swinging corpse from the windows where he hung himself. Our thermal imaging camera does not see through windows. It looks at a window as an object. So what you're looking for on there when you take video of that second story, and you can even stay on this side of the street if you want to get that, because it starts at the curve. You're looking for those windows to get colder. I want something influencing it from the other side, from the inside. This place was also used to be a brewery not so long ago. The taps would turn on by themselves. Furniture would pile up on its own. Like,
What is it now?
it's condos in the back, and they're turning the front of it into a wedding reception area. So good luck to those weddings.
Oh no.
So it will be considered waterfront because they're using
Yep.
the roof as well, and
And
you'll be able to
see the
see the
water.
water from there. There's probably going to be like 50 grand up there. So yeah, plus the 10-star restaurant inside. Like it's going to be crazy ridiculous. This is a big wedding town, as you guys already
Yeah,
should
for
know
sure.
that. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. People live in the back. I've had guests, locals that know people that live here. No activity in the back. It's always in the front. So they don't report anything. They don't tell their friends anything. And again, I get people from all over. So the other ghost I get that it kind of tags along, same time period, Hoogan's Porch is 2 blocks away from the Philadelphia Alley exit that we came out of.
been there.
Zoe St. Amand used to live there. It was her house. She lived there with her sister Elizabeth. Zoe was a school teacher, but she haunts the place because she died by falling down the stairs. You can also allegedly see her in the mirror in the ladies' restroom. So the words mirror have come up, stairs, Elizabeth, sister. If you ask Zoe what her house looks like now, you get words like yellow. She won't say restaurant. It doesn't always come out because that's a lot to muster. So it's like spoon, fork, table, eat, things like that that relate to a restaurant. So anything that relates to that. And again, same time period, so I never know who I'm getting. Honestly, this last stop is a hit or miss. I'm either going to have a ton of stuff come out or nothing. So, and I never know who's coming. So if you want to go straight after Zoe, and I know it's Zoe, by the way, because she spells her name Z-O-E, not Z-O-E-Y. So I'll get like Zoe and then the word French. Her last name was Saint Amand, which is definitely a French descent. Her ancestors came here with the Huguenots, which was how our town started. So it's a big deal. She has a long, prominent family name to stick with this. So I'm actually going to cross legally twice and walk alongside of the building that you should do. But if you want to stay on this side, and it's the second story in the front, so you'll see a rounded edge when we get to the front. There's a window right along that rounded part. Try to get that, and then the 2 windows in the very front. So depending on how good of an angle you want to get, feel free to move around them 4 corners. So it's not like I don't trust you with a camera. You've been fine. Yeah, move around, get whatever you want. Nice slow movements. We are going to test a theory with the thermal imaging gun when we get up there. At times, now tonight it's a little breezy. Did you guys see the peak at the very back here?
Yep.
So in the front, there's the same peak, but it's covered in stone. There's the same type of stone 5 feet below it, inlaid into the brick. At times, I've seen it go up to a 30-degree difference. I would expect 7 to 12, 15 to 18 on a breezy night like this. If it goes above 20-degree difference, I'm going to get excited and definitely listen to his spirit box a little bit harder during the time frame of this timestamp. So that's what you and I will be doing. Sorry, but I'm going to separate the 2 of you because it's
Good.
kind of odd. If you get anything along the way, let me know. But once we get up to the front, it's parking meters, so it's going to go crazy again. But definitely keep listening to your spirit box. Ask as many questions as you want based on the info I just gave you. I'll be doing the same thing until you and I get up to the front. So let's go see what we can capture.
Cool.
And the front's being on the actual block, end of the block? That's the front?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty large.
Yep,
building.
that's it. It looks big. That's why.
Are they following you?
Bye. Yeah, lots of video.
Again, I blow this up on my TV.
So you'll okay. I didn't see anything of significance, but you might when you blow up.
Yep.
But yeah, I got full.
Awesome. Good deal. Are you going to go ahead and hit the square for me?